Number 1. The iconic startup sound and shutdown sound was composed by Bill Brown IV, who did Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, Command & Conquer, and Ghost Recon. Number 2. So this was the final theme that we got, which was called Luna. However, the beta builds had a completely different theme. It was actually called Watercolor, and it was never actually meant to be the real theme. It was actually meant as a decoy to throw people off, because the watercolor theme looks vastly different from what we actually got. It was specifically to bamboozle people. So mainstream support for Windows XP ended in April 2009, but extended support for Windows XP also ended in April 2014, which was more than 10 years ago now. Actually, we're coming up on Windows 10 support being ended, which is next month. Or if you're watching this in October 2025, it already happened. Contrary to popular belief, this wallpaper that you see is actually not CGI, it's a real place. It's actually a vineyard in Sonoma County, California. It was taken in January 1996 by Charles O'Rear, who was on his way to visit his girlfriend when he happened to see this beautiful hill just in front of him. The vineyards had been recently cleared because of a pest infestation, and a storm had just passed over, making the hill really lush and green. He took the picture on film, not digitally, and the film he took it on is specifically known to up the colors. That's why it looks so blue and green. The photo is apparently not digitally enhanced or photoshopped in any way. Although the hill today does not really look like that, it is an active vineyard, so it looks kind of dry now. Number 5. Charles O'Rear, the photographer who took this picture, was apparently paid a hefty amount. It was apparently one of the highest prices ever paid for a picture. Although we don't really know the exact figure, it's apparently in the low 6 figures. Apparently it was so valuable that no courier would ensure the delivery of the specific film that it was taken on. So Microsoft paid for a flight ticket for Charles O'Rear to specifically hand deliver the film. Talk about a legendary picture. Number 6. Windows XP was released roughly a month after 9/11 on October 25th, 2001. This is notable because this was one of the first major events in New York City after 9/11. Number 7. Windows XP had a prepare to fly slogan plastered all over the advertising, but it was cut because, well, obviously. Number 8. People were initially not such big fans of this theme. They called it the Fisher Price OS, which is kind of fair, it does look toyish, but it was made specifically for computers at the time. While computers back in the day weren't powerful enough to do Windows Aero or like liquid glass, these colors were specifically chosen with like light gradients and stuff to make it more poppy, because Windows 98 and Windows ME were obviously very boring. Number 9. Windows XP was the first operating system to implement clear type. So if I go to properties here, and go to appearance, and then go to effects, you can see that use the following method to smooth edges of screen fonts. This is on standard. So this mode is actually the best for CRTs, because everyone back in the day saw Windows XP through CRT. So if you use Windows XP today, and me right now, you're probably looking at this through an LCD or an LED. But yeah, clear type helps you see the fonts better. It's more built for LCDs. The operating systems before that, well, you would always look at them through CRTs, because who the hell uses LCDs? This video is sponsored by Famous AI. So we all know what vibe coding is, right? It's basically coding using AI rather than you writing the code all by yourself. I mean, all the AI experts are saying that forget the old struggle. The next billionaire is going to be a vibe coder just chilling on his couch building the next revolutionary product. This is exactly why you need Famous AI. It's basically a coding platform where you tell it, hey, I want to build a platform to budget people's expenses, and it just does it. In the old days, you'd have to install Visual Studio, then some extensions, then learn CSS, then JavaScript, then Node.js. Who wants to do any of that? The future is here. This is actually going to blow your mind. Let me show you. So going to famous.ai, you get $5 worth of free credits, but all you need is a simple website with a text box. So I want to create an app that tracks calories along with your macros. Basically, I'm prompting it to add up all the things I ate in a day and track my calories, proteins, fats, carbs, whatever. And then let's go. By the way, notice how I didn't mention any technicals like I want you to use PHP, JavaScript for the backend or anything like that. I just told it what I want in the most non-technical way possible. And whoa, wait, hold on, does this actually work? Add. What? It does! Also, by the way, I didn't tell it to put these common items to add quickly. It just did it by itself. Like, even I didn't think of that. This is crazy, yo. Even if you're an expert computer guy, this took me 5 minutes to build a full working prototype. Guys, the future is here. Check out the link in the description to give Famous AI a try. Windows XP 32-bit came in 3 service packs. Service Pack 1 was released in 2002. Service Pack 2 was released in 2004. Service Pack 3 was released in 2008. Interestingly, the 64-bit version only came with 2 2 service packs. Number 11. Service packs back in the day actually used to come on CDs as well. This is because a lot of people didn't have internet fast enough to download the service packs. I think dial-up is like 64K. Number 12. On Windows XP today, if you go to Internet Explorer and type legacyupdate.net, you can still update your Windows XP copy to the latest service packs and updates and stuff. Number 13. Windows XP's codename was Whistler, which is a ski resort in British Columbia. And Windows 7's codename was Blackcomb, which is also another ski resort in British Columbia. And Windows Vista's codename was Longhorn, which was a bar between Whistler, the ski resort, and Blackcomb, the ski resort. Microsoft employees apparently went to the ski resorts a lot, and the bar. Number 14. The Microsoft search dog that you see here actually made its debut in 1995 with Microsoft's Bob, but the search implementation never really worked that well in Windows XP, so another fun fact. Number 15. So apparently in Windows before Windows XP, if you typed in volcano for the 3D text screensaver, it would give you a list of volcanoes instead of saying the word volcano. But that was removed in Windows XP. A useless fact about older Windows, I guess. Number 16. So in Windows XP, actually any Windows, you can't name a folder CON, just doesn't work, or PRN, which also doesn't work, or AUX, which also doesn't work. This is actually a quirk from the MS-DOS days. So apparently PRN is printer, CON is console. Console means like the desktop or whatever. And then AUX is auxiliary device. Apparently in command prompt it has like some kind of meaning. So Windows just doesn't allow it. In fact, even in Windows 11 you can't do it. The more you know. Number 17. Windows XP is actually the first Windows to introduce product activation. Like Windows did have product keys before, but now you have to either activate over the internet or activate using a phone. Number 18. It's actually weird, but product activation on Windows XP still works. I actually did this in a YouTube video where I have an original copy of Windows XP from like 2002 or whatever. Like my dad genuinely bought it and it has a product key and everything. And I activated it over the phone. So the internet activation doesn't work, but over the phone activation works. And it's not just Windows XP, actually. Windows Longhorn, which never came out, it's a beta build of Windows. It's like a mix between Windows XP and Windows Vista. I was able to activate it over the phone. This is like 3 months ago, by the way, so like 2025. Number 19. Speaking of product activation, I did buy a copy of Windows XP, and technically one product key should only work on one machine at a time. But I've been able to activate Windows with that one product key on multiple computers, like maybe 10, 12 by now. Like as a kid, I used to reinstall Windows XP on like all these different computers and use the same product key. And back then the internet activation still worked. And it just kept activating Windows again and again. It didn't work on Windows Vista and Windows 7, only XP. I don't know, I guess Bill Gates likes me. Number 20. So apparently people have been able to activate Windows XP using keys generated from ChatGPT. That kind of makes sense because it's some kind of algorithm that generates the product keys, and AI is very good at learning patterns. So yeah. Apparently you can do that. But ChatGPT, especially the newer ChatGPT, is like, it knows that you're trying to cheese the system. So you have to like appease it to make it give the keys. And sometimes it just spits out keys from the internet rather than generating it. But yeah, apparently it does work. So weird. Number 21. Speaking of activation, so your installation is specifically tied to your computer. But what is your computer? It's just a collection of components. So how does it actually determine it? Well, there's actually an internal system. I'm not sure if Windows still uses it to this day, but there's apparently 10 categories of computer components. So there's the display adapter, the SCSI adapter, the IDE adapter, network adapter, RAM amount, processor type, processor serial number, hard drive device, hard drive volume serial number, and CD DVD ROM drive. So the system is far more flexible than you think. Apparently there's a voting model. So if you don't change a lot of the components, you don't need to reactivate. But each component has a specific amount of votes. Like the GPU has a specific amount of votes, and the processor has some votes, and the RAM has some votes. But if you change enough of the components where the votes add up, then Windows XP is like, oh, this is a new computer, and then you have to reactivate. So apparently, as long as 7 of the 10 component categories remain unchanged from the initial activation, Windows will boot without issue. But once it's above 7, Windows is like, nah, I ain't doing it. I'm pretty sure this is the case in modern Windows as well, because I swap GPUs out all the time and it doesn't really care. So number 22. Windows Embedded POS Ready 2009, or point of sale Windows, continued to receive updates until April 2019. So apparently POS, or point of sale systems, means like cash registers and apparently ATMs, I guess. But people apparently figured out that on a regular Windows XP install, you could hack the registry to make it think that it's Windows Embedded POS ready. So you got extended security updates until 2019. That's like 5 more years of support. The lens people will go to not update their operating systems, I guess. Even in April 2014, when Windows XP support ended, it still had a staggering 30% market share. And what's even crazier is even right now, mid-2025, apparently 0.38% of PCs still run Windows XP. That might sound like a small amount, but that's still 5 million computers. Number 25. In 2014, apparently 95% of ATMs were running Windows XP. And that's actually not that surprising because I remember you do see ATMs with blue screens of deaths on them. And those are the XP blue screens of deaths. Number 26. So everyone knows the pinball game, right? Not everyone had like the next nice cool games, man. Apparently, this is just a demo version of a full retail game. The full game was called Full Tilt Pinball, and you get like 3 maps. Did anyone actually pay for a pinball though? Like, why would you do that? That sounds like, well, you got too much money or something. Like you get 2 additional maps. Is that it? So Windows XP is infamously the last version to have this pinball game. It's not actually like a dick move from Microsoft's part, because apparently on the 64-bit version of this game, there's a weird bug where the pinball just passes through everything. It was just too complicated to port it to 64-bit, so Microsoft was just like, oh, frick it, we're just not gonna ship the game. Number 28. So in May 2017, the world was hit by the WannaCry ransomware attack. This actually caused Microsoft to release an emergency update for Windows XP. However, only 0.1% of the PCs affected were Windows XP, and it's not for the reason you think. Apparently, Windows XP was so unstable that the WannaCry ransomware attack didn't work on XP. It would just blue screen instead. So we all know the Bliss wallpaper, but there's actually a lot more iconic wallpapers like Azul. This is actually a weird one. There was apparently a whole mystery around it, but Bliss was almost not the wallpaper. Actually, until very late in development, this was almost the wallpaper. You know the reason why it was dropped? Apparently, the moon here reminded people of a butt. That sounds made up, can't lie, but you know, whatever. I'm just a guy on the internet. The XP in Windows XP actually stands for experience. Number 31. So we all know the default Luna theme, but there's actually 2 more versions of it. There's olive green, which, yeah, whatever. And then there's a silver theme. That looks kind of cool. Looks like chrome. Apart from the Luna theme, there were additional themes, like the Royals theme from Windows XP Media Center Edition 2005. And then online, I think you could download the Zune theme as well. Now, this copy of Windows XP doesn't have it, but earlier versions of Windows XP came with a song called Like Humans Do by David Byrne? I don't know. It was apparently the radio edit of the song because the original edit had a line about smoking weed. But yeah, this is Service Pack 3, so this did not come with it. Number 34. Title.wma is the infamous background Windows XP sound that no one heard. This is because it plays during that one screen at installation, but most people don't have sound drivers, so they never heard it. And I never heard it as well, actually. Also, for some reason, it's stored in the images folder. But yeah, the real composer of the song had been a mystery for quite a few years. People at first assumed it was Bill Brown IV who did the startup and shutdown sounds, but it wasn't him. After many years of speculation, it was finally discovered that the original composer was Stan Lepard, and I think the song actually debuted as early as 1996. Unfortunately, Stan Lepard passed away on February 11, 2021. So there's an interesting bug in Windows XP where if you leave it on for 49.7 days, which is 2 raised to the 32 milliseconds, the internal tick counter resets to 0. This could in theory cause crashes or unexpected behavior, because Microsoft didn't really think about it. But it's a PC, like how many times do you actually keep your computer on for like 50 days straight? But it was addressed in the 64-bit edition. Number 36. So we all know the 2 most famous versions of Windows XP, which is the regular Windows XP and then Windows XP 64-bit. But there was actually another 64-bit version that launched all the way back in 2001. It only runs on a specific number of computers, which are ridiculously rare and expensive. They were only designed to run on Intel's new Itinium processors, which never took off. But yeah, I made a full video about it. This is one of the weirdest quirks. So in every Windows XP copy, there's a hidden administrator account. This is actually quite useful if you ever get locked out of your computer. So you can see this is my Makhir account, right? You can see these are the files and this is the wallpaper. If I log off and then if I send Control-Alt-Delete, you have to do it twice. Now this is username Makhir. If I just do administrator, there's a completely different account on Windows XP with administrator privileges. It's quite useful if you ever get locked out of your account or anything. Number 38. So in 2002, Microsoft launched Windows XP Tablet PC Edition. This was actually specifically Windows made for pen-based computing. Like back in the day, tablets were using stylus, not your fingers. But yeah, there's a Windows XP edition for that. as well. And a Windows Vista edition, and a Windows 7 edition. Number 39. So because of antitrust rulings in South Korea and the EU, there's weird Windows XP editions with no Windows Media Player, or no Windows Messenger. So Windows XP Home or Pro N is the edition with no Windows Media Player. Windows XP Home and Pro K means that there's links to Windows Media Player and Messenger. And Windows XP Home and Pro KN means no Windows Media Player or Messenger. So if you ever come across those ISOs on the Internet Archive, that's why. Number 40. In September 2022, Windows XP's source code was leaked online. Now, I obviously can't show it or anything. And the reason why it's a big deal is because Microsoft still uses some of that code in their modern Windows. But yeah, we technically have the whole source code to compile our own Windows XP copy and modify it as we please. And that was 40 completely useless facts about Windows XP. Subscribe, please.